Hello everyone, Jurassic Man here, and today I'm probably gonna do the final Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom toy review. Not the final toy review in general, but just the final toy review that was released for Fallen Kingdom. And that would have to be the Jurassic World Grab and Growl Indoraptor. This was infamously well known in the community for having horrible joint problems, especially on the arms. However, it might seem like mine might be a much later release, as its joints are not stiff. As you can see here, they're pretty good, like how I do. For some reason, every figure I get has little to no problems until right after I get them. So, without further ado, let's get right into this review. Now, if any of those saw my Instagram post a while back, I did find this guy, this guy in Ross. And I only found it in Ross because I just happened to not find for figures. For a very long time, this figure has been sitting in shelves I've always seen. Just sitting in shelves in Walmart's, Targets, and whatever other stores. I never got to get it because it's $30, but in Ross, I got a great deal out of it. So let's move the figure out of the way. Before I talk about the Ross deal, I'll show you that the Grab and Growl box is very similar to that of the Thrash and Throw. It has an opening on the side where the thrashing part goes. And just like the Thrash and Throw, its tail is the mechanic. It has buttons in the back, unlike the Thrash and Throw. And those buttons allow it to growl, chomp, and of course, thrash. So this guy is electronic, just like the Thrash and Throw. However, unlike it, it has button features. Unlike how the Thrash and Throw, you have to move it up, down, or left or right to activate the sounds. These have buttons, so there's no need for it. Now the box is very similar to that of the Indoraptor's one. And as you can see in the back of the box, it shows a huge feature along with the Min-Me. It also has some pictures of the Roarvors for some reason, even though I don't think this fits in a Roarvor. And that's the deal I got it for. It's not much. There's $7 left and it's supposed to retail. But I got a good deal out of it. So anyways, let's get to the figure. The figure itself is a much better improvement of that of the original Indoraptor figure. For starters, the head is more accurate to that of the Indoraptor. If that makes any sense. To me, it looks exactly the same. Still not accurate, but you know what? It's still a cool figure. That's what's the important part. And it's cool because this guy is the exact same as the Indoraptor, but with electronics and a moving torso. I really wanted more torso joints for these lines of figures, especially in the middle section part. And just like the Indoraptor one, it's basically the same as the Indoraptor. It does come with the same points of articulations, except the neck and the jaw are not articulated. They work, it's the action feature. Same with the body, even though it's a new articulation point, it does come with the action feature as well. And just like the Indoraptor, it also has joints on the leg, which is actually a problem to a lot of people. Because these joints could wear out over time due to the heavy batteries. Even though the batteries are very light, it does add extra weight to it. Luckily, this figure is probably more extra heavily built. The tail is not detachable as the old one. However, it isn't articulated as much as it goes with the action feature as it goes left and right. Details and coloring are very similar to that of the old one, as it is basically the same model, just retooled. It has a nice black with the gloss, and it has an iconic yellow stripe or gold stripe it has that you've seen in the movies. It also has nice scaling, and of course the quills on his back. And like the old one, the quills are not shown underneath. So, without further ado, let's get right to the action feature. Now the action feature on this guy is pretty similar to that of the Thrash and Throw. You move the head up and down to give it that motion. And you press the button, or latch the button right here, that allows it to do the chomping action, including the growl. scratch that. And that's for the arm. And as you can see, for the arm mechanic, they lean forward. Not very well. You gotta have it in a position to make it look like it's grabbing, so there's that. The head itself can move. However, it can move up as it's also part of the articulation. But it can move side to side, so this is a good part about that. The jaw is not movable, however, I did close it at one point and it stayed closed, as like that. But in case of that, let's go to the electronic part where it shows the dinosaurs, or Indoraptor's roar. Let's try that with no lights. And as you can see, the lights do light up the eyes, and it does give it a more, well, fun feature to it. Let's put the lights back on. So that's basically it for this Indoraptor figure. Not much different from the old one, and not much different from the Thrashinthro either. It's still a better improvement of the old one, however it does have its flaws, and those flaws include the arm joints, which, for my case, are actually pretty good. They're not as very stiff or hard to move as those of the other ones. These ones are actually pretty good. And like the Indoraptor, you can pose them in this more sprawling pose that it has in the movie. However, the arm joints or the elbow joints could only move up and back. However, I do feel there's a hinder to that when it comes with the mechanic of it, similar to that of the Allosaurus. Also, it can move inwards, as that's also part of the action feature. So, yeah, there you have it, the Indoraptor. It's pretty good. Anyways, let's get into comparisons. Of course, the first comparison always has to be with his old counterpart, and that would be the already posable Indoraptor that we got from earlier this year. Or earlier of 2018, to be exact. As this guy was released back in March of 2018, and this guy was released after fall of 2018, basically a year or two. So these guys are both a year old by now. So that's pretty good about that. They do share very similar sculpts, except for the head. As you can see, size by size comparison, you can see that the head of the electronic Indoraptor is more close to that of the movie counterpart, while the old posable one is very similar to that of possibly even a concept art or something like that. They are distinct. They do share very similar styles, but they are distinct from each other. Another factor is that this guy is actually larger than the old Indoraptor. It's kind of hard to tell at first, but it is larger than the old Indoraptor, probably to encompass with the electronics that it has. Here is the electronic Indoraptor next to an average figure, which is Alan Grant. And as you see, even at this scale, it's still too large for the Indoraptor, as the Indoraptor is probably the same size as those of the Roarvor dinosaur lines, around that size, while the Roarvor dinosaurs should be a bit bigger than they should be. So, yeah, to encompass the action feature. Alright, the Indoraptor figure is pretty alright to my opinion. Not the best, but it's alright. I really like it, I really do. My only problem is that it's kind of limited when it comes to the posability part of the old Indoraptor. It has really nice electronics, I love the sound it comes with, and I do like the lighting up feature, but it does hinder a lot of objects, such as being more larger and still inaccurate than the actual Indoraptor. So there is that. But overall, I still think this is a great figure. I had to give it a 5 out of 5. It's still good. To those that did get the first issues with the problem of the joints, I feel sorry for you, but I do have possibly a later issue, so I don't have to worry about that. This guy used to retail for at least $30, but as I got from the secondhand store, it does come out lower than that. So if you do find one in a store, maybe half off, or maybe some secondhand store like Ross or Big Lots, I suggest getting it. It's still a good figure. If you don't like the whole posability thing, then just leave it in a box like some collectors. So, hope you guys liked this review. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys on the next one.